So you've all seen that Russia sent a nuclear-capable missile into Ukraine, and of course now, understandably, everybody's concerned about World War III, specifically nuclear annihilation. And I'm just going to give you an old guy's thoughts on it, man, and that is this. First of all, I'm just going to preface this whole thing by saying that you really have nothing to worry about. Well, that's easy for you to say, Mike, because you're already 62 years old. You've lived your life. That's true, but I have a grandchild, and I have 7 children, and I certainly don't want to see a nuclear war anywhere. But when and I have a lot of friends, some older than me, that have called me, and they're really nervous about it. Hey, Mike, what the fuck? We're gonna have nuclear war. I remind them that guys my age, we grew up during the Cold War. And when I was a kid going to school, we had the duck and cover drills in school where you'd get under your desk as if that was going to do any good. But on the last Thursday of the month, the sirens would blare all throughout Los Angeles. You'd be out playing and you'd hear the terrible, and it was to practice the air raid sirens for when the nuclear missile was coming. We all expected to be vaporized, most of us in those days, and we made it through. So, is it possible that we are on the precipice of World War III, up to and including nuclear attacks? Absolutely. But if there's one thing I have learned in 62 years, it's that no amount of worrying can change anything. It just doesn't change anything. If you're one of these people that's afraid to fly, and you got a 5-hour flight, and you're flying along, and you stress and worry the entire 5 hours. And the plane doesn't crash, you wasted 5 hours where you could have been reading a good book, you could have been watching a movie on your iPad, you could have been in a nice conversation or taking a good, nice, long nap. So you threw away 5 hours worrying about something that didn't happen. And if the plane does crash, you worrying about it isn't going to change it. If it crashes 2 hours into the flight, you wasted the last 2 hours you could have been enjoying life. You can scream and shout on the way to the frickin' impact, but it doesn't do any good to sit and stress about it. I've learned that it's best to just worry, I'll use that word, worry, prepare, give thought to things that you can effect. But you and I aren't going to change anything. Then there's other ways to look at this too. I mean, now, everything going forward now that I'm getting ready to say is all speculation, because nobody knows what anybody's going to do. Putin is an old man too. He's in his 70s. Maybe he just is like, fuck it, I'm going out with a bang. Looks like I'm not going to get the old Soviet Union back. My country is not doing good. Hypothetically, he could be saying this. And maybe it's just like, fuck it, let's just go out with a big bang. I have my own feelings as to why this is happening. Trying not to get political, but one side of our political system has infatuated with war and gave the green light to Zelensky to fire into Russia, knowing good and well that this was going to piss off Putin. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I don't want this to be a political video, but again, nothing we can do about it. I will say this: if Putin appears to be, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, who knows, but he appears to be intelligent, and he's got a lot to lose. I'm disappointed in the way he throws around the term nuclear war so carelessly. That is very reckless for a world leader to do, but he's already doing that, so we can't put the toothpaste back into the tube, so to speak. So the problem with that is when you keep threatening something, eventually it happens. So you get a lot of Westerners, a lot of European news people and anchors and military experts who say, well, he said, don't cross this red line, and we sent tanks, and we crossed the line, and nothing happened. And then he said, don't do this, and we did that, and nothing happened. So he's drawn all these lines, and we crossed them, and nothing happened, so he's full of shit. He's just bluffing. That's a big gamble when you're talking about nuclear war, because, like I said, when you threaten something long enough, you almost manifest that into a potential reality. So I don't think any side is being smart here. I think Putin's fucked up for dropping for constantly saying that, he's ready to use nukes. And I think everyone else is fucked up for publicly saying that he's full of shit. He's not gonna fucking do anything. That being said, he's a smart guy, Putin, and there's an awful lot to lose. You know, Russia's not the only one with nuclear missiles. And if you look at the population density maps of Russia, it doesn't take a whole lot to fucking put them out of history. You know, I mean, you could basically hit St. Petersburg and Moscow with two nukes. And what's really left of Russia? Russia is a very huge country, very big, but the population density is unbelievable. If you just look at it, it really wouldn't take much to fuck that and make that country just a thing of the past. You know, and there's not only Putin. You know, there's oligarchs, rich people, people that have a lot to lose that Putin answers to, believe it or not, in some form or fashion. And they cannot be excited about the prospect of, look, they've got children and grandchildren, and I can't believe that they're just perfectly fine with him ushering in, you know, World War III. Then you got Putin's neighbors, China. China is doing good, man. Look at the money they have. Look at their economy compared to what it was when I was a kid, when we used to say, you know, we didn't finish our food, and your parents would say there's starving kids in China that wish they had that. Well, China has got its problems, but they've come a long way. And I can't believe that China is just perfectly fine with their neighbor taking steps that could lead a nuclear war right to their freaking doorstep. You know, because it would draw everybody in. China has an awful lot to lose if NATO goes nuclear against Putin. So, you know, if it does come down to a nuclear exchange, I really wouldn't want to be living in Germany or the UK for that matter. Those are the more realistic targets in my mind, because Putin is smart enough to know that if we detect anything coming toward the U.S., I mean, we've got submarines offshore, just like they have nuclear submarines off our shore. And if something happens over here, you know, he just did his test platform, the missile, I think it went like 600 kilometers in 5 minutes. That's pretty impressive. That's a fast missile. But we have nuclear missiles sitting right off the coast of Russia with the same time from launch to impact. So it's not like you can just destroy America and nothing's going to happen. Once that shit starts going back and forth, it's going back and forth. And that leads me right back to the first point. Live your life. Be happy. Love the people around you. You know, love your pets. Do what it is you do. If you love to fish, go fishing. If you love to garden, I guess it's winter, you're not going to be gardening. But whatever it is you do, enjoy your coffee, enjoy each other. If you're young, just keep doing what it is you're doing, and understand that while nobody wants to go up in a freaking nuclear holocaust, we have no control over it. If you believe in God, God has control, has total control. And maybe God wouldn't stop a nuclear war. Maybe that's just left up to men. If humans want to do something that stupid, then maybe he's just like, fuck it, let them do it. So none of us know. We only know what we know. We have no clue what we don't know. So just live your life, and whatever you do, don't ever succumb to fear. You know, that is what these crusty old leaders that are constantly fucking up life for all the populations of the earth, you know, they depend on fear. They depend on fear of their own population, and then they depend on the fear of their perceived enemy, their population across the oceans or next door or whatever it is. Live your life. There's nothing you can do about it. And you know what? If you're lucky, you'll live really close to the blast zone, and you'll be like, hey, and that's the last thought in your head. If you live further away, it may take a little longer. You may have a thumb sticking out of your forehead for a month or two before you finally kick the bucket. But in all seriousness, just stay calm and don't stress this shit. Don't give that power to anybody.